Let me start for this presentation. It's by Dr. Helen, Senior Lecturer, Department of Accountancy, and me from Teaching Learning Center, Linda University. Okay, and the title is about the piloting the social robot to engage student learning in teaching law courses. Okay, and let me briefly introduce the background for this initiative. Actually, Dr. Han is the leader for this project and the initiative, and I helped Dr. Han to develop this project. So let me start the presentation. And so it's my pleasure to present on behalf of our both. Okay. And so that's the outline for today's presentation. So I will first introduce the rationale and how about this initiative and implementation, the findings, and some recommendation as of now. Okay. So first of all, let's see the nature of law course. So the nature of law course we can see from two aspects. The first of all is the major learning outcome arriving from law course, and the second is the major teaching learning methods. There are two major learning outcomes arising from law courses. First is the analytical abilities. The second one is the critical thinking. For analytical ability, it's mainly uh, achieved by students through examining the cases, I mean the legal cases, by using a variety of legal rule and principle taught by our teacher. And the second thing is the critical thinking. That means the evaluation, critique of the legal cases, legal documents, debating, all require a high level, a high quality of critical thinking. So in terms of teaching and learning method, we usually use case studies and a role play. I think the most important is the case study because in Hong Kong and in Commonwealth nation, or even in other nations like Singapore and Malaysia, and the common law system, common law is also called the case law. That means it's belong to a collection of the legal decisions and legal rule written by court uh, through the process of the hearing and hearing and deciding in legal cases. And this legal decision will bind the judges and the future cases. So it's a case law, and we call it precedent case. So the case law precedent case is very important to the future cases and to the judge, the court judge in deciding, in hearing at the future cases. So case study approach, I think if Dr. Han could correct me if I'm wrong, case study approach is should be a primary and predominant approach in teaching teaching the law courses. And the second method is the role play because students will ask to make the class more engaging and more motivated. And the teacher will ask students, and teacher and the student will play different role like client and solicitors, defendant and plaintiff, and judges and the different roles. So to make the class more engaging. So let's see the situation in current in the teaching law cases. First of all, the student participation through the traditional classroom. I mean, just based on the PowerPoint, the text, okay, and student teacher normal interaction is not so sound and not so active because of the why we said the traditional way, the traditional way. Sorry, let me move because the traditional way of didactic explanation of case fact may not effectively arouse student interest. That means traditional ways we just give the case to students and teacher explain the case and ask students to play the role and the teacher give a comment. Just the normal traditional face-to-face. It's not so sound and so active. The reason for why, because the learning, first of all, is learning diversity of our student population. So our students are usually the digital and the visual learner. They prefer see some digital, they prefer to learn from the digital media, prefer see some high quality images and the graphics and the video, so they can make them more impressive. So they are the usual digital and visual learner, and they also the show because our diversity of their background in terms of learning ability, so they show difference. So when we use same set of material, same approach, actually may not arouse the interest of every student because of their diversity in their learning ability. And our students also prefer, so our students prefer the activity-based group, but they are, I think the young generation prefer a more interesting, more novel, and more brand new learning activities, activity-based group works. And that's the, I think, general profile of our student population. In particular to our Lingnan students, okay, I think similar to other universities in Hong Kong and and elsewhere, many students in Asia, okay, are quite, including our Lingnan students, are quite shy. They are quite shy to share their view and experience and critiques in front of their peer. Okay, so if you ask them to share in the discussion forum, in the chat box, then it may be better. But in front of the face to face, so they may be shy. They may have the reservation, hesitation. So that's the whole background of the student characteristics and gaps in learning the in learning the law. And so let's move to the I think the background of our legal profession in applying the I think the advanced technology. Okay, so let's have a quick review of how to use the artificial intelligence in legal professions. So our legal profession also always give us a very serious impression. Okay, so where the court gone and they read they use a lot of the cases and law books and a lot of documents. But actually, this is not not the contemporary a contemporary impression. So let's see how artificial intelligence apply in the legal profession. Actually, the artificial intelligence has become a main component in legal profession. First of all, they have adopt the robot lawyer. By using the algorithm and the machine learning, actually the robot lawyer can perform a lot of work which can be done by the entry-level lawyer and the paralegals. Okay, that's the first level of application of AI in legal profession. The second one is the AI role chatbot, as Mr. Sarah said, already introduced a very excellent example. And the AI chatbot, okay, so actually AI chatbot can interview the clients, okay, about their legal problem, legal issue, and then using the answer from the client to complete a document and provide answer. So they finish the first level of documentation. Okay, and last popular example is analytics. Okay, so analytics can create the business data set and generating more actionable insights to improve the practice of law. Okay, and also they can automate a number of high volume recurring tasks such as data extraction and even review the contract. And they can make, because using machine learning analytics, they can make the contract review more accurate, okay? Because AI inside. And they also can take a more data-driven approach to the practice of law and to make the legal space overall more efficient. So that's the overall picture of the artificial intelligence in the legal profession. So what's the implication, particularly what the implication to in general and to this course, to our to this course? First of all, it's the advantage. Of course, you use the AI can enhance the productivities, okay, and you can complete the task at a high degree of the accuracy, and to can let our legal professional focus on more meaningful work, creating substantial value for companies and clients, and also allow, so because the legal professional can focus on more meaningful work, of course, a more legal matter can be represented around the world through their company. And they also make the legal assistance more affordable through chatbot, through the robot lawyer, through the analytics. Okay, so the prospect, the first prospect should have the implication to our application of the AI, the robot in this course, because requiring, so that's the overwhelming trend for using AI in the legal profession. So this require our legal professional to possess an interesting number of skills to make use of such technologies. So this has an implication that our students, when we teach the law course to our students, maybe they become a solicitor, maybe they just become a legal professional in their different field. For example, accounting firm, finance firm, they also need to have the legal knowledge. So they need to capture such a skill in using these contemporary knowledge. So that's the most important prospect for our teacher why Professor Han together me want to use the AI to this course. That's we see the overall trend in our legal profession. Okay, but AI cannot give solution, require strong critical thinking, creative thinking, and value judgment. So value judgment and creative thinking still rely on our human being. That means our professional cannot be replaced. Okay, and so let's see why we use the social robot. Okay, so this literature by Mr. Han, written in 2010, still have the wide implication. I think, to today's application of robot, social robot, because they provide a very good account of how social robot could be applied into the education and higher education. So the paper is very long, but let me summarize the 3 important points why the social robot can be used in the education and higher education. The first one is the e-learning platform it seems to be quite passive. It relies on the student to log in. That means the interaction between students and our e-learning platform rely on students taking initiative to log in. Then the interaction can happen after the student are logged in and But the robot is different because robot possess the built-in autonomous recognition and the sensor system. So they can use such recognition and a sensor system to initiate different interactive responses for learner. So that means the robot, that means the device itself can activate the learning, not rely on the student to log in the system. So from the passive to more active. Okay, that's the first implication. The second one is unlike online learning, it's at the virtual platform. Robot can occur in both virtual and physical space. Perhaps most impressive is its presence in the physical space because students can see it, touch it, and they can work with it. So it can offer a greater frequency in providing the stimulating. You can stimulate the student by the robot and more immersive environment for learning. Okay, and last one is to us it's quite important. Is the robot can exhibit like human. Okay, so in the latest slide you can see it's like a human and can exhibit the human-like behavior to engage learner as both learning a medium. That means robot can be just a medium or can be the educator. So we think a social robot is anticipate to motivate and engage students to through participating in the case discussion, analysis, and debate. So that's a three distinctive feature for why we use the robot in the law courses. Okay, so implementation. Okay, selection. So why we select the Xambox? Xambox is a newly invented, I think maybe in 2018 and 19. Why we choose the Xambox? Because it's very cute. Okay, very cute, like baby. You can see the picture. Okay, and it can easily appeal to students. And the most important thing is that both Professor Han and I, we are not the programmer. We are not we don't have the technical background. An example, and it's easy to program because it can be programmed without professional knowledge. So comparing to other robots. So that's the reason so that we can see that's why robot can be widely applied to all courses because it can be used very user-friendly. You don't have the programming knowledge. You are not programming professional. You still can use a robot to your classroom. So that's why this is why we choose it. Okay, and so let me introduce the implementation, the programming. First of all, the programming is not difficult. As we said, it does not require the professional knowledge and in programming. Okay, and the most important thing is to create a dialogue prior to program, and then to modify the programming to make them more interesting and feasible from class to class, from scenario to scenario, from case to case. Okay, so how to design the dialogue is crucial because the dialogue should fit the teaching content of each class. Maybe each class may be different. This case maybe the robot with to play the role of the solicitor. Next case maybe the court judge. Okay, this case may be contract law. That case may be about the other intervention. Okay, it's different cases. Okay, so that when the playing with Xambox in classroom, student will be engaged. And we also need to recognize the limitation of Xambox because Xambox cannot receive the voice effectively in a noisy environment. Sometimes classroom could be noisy because of student may be very happy or the surrounding environment may be noisy. So we need to keep the phase quite short and short and simple sentences, and easy English. So that's the some tips for us to use Zambo, okay? And then you can see Zambo, in terms of teaching, Zambo has expression and can speak English clearly. And so Zambo was used to assist the teaching and learning activity. So you can explain the case facts and play the role of plaintiff and defendant of a case and debating by applying the legal rules by sort of programming, okay? So let me use a simple example to explain. For the role play, for example, Professor Han can play as a buyer and Zambo plays a sailor. So when they fall into the legal, they can demonstrate how they fall into the legal disputes in country relationship, okay? And after showing the case to students, the students are asked to discuss how to solve the disputes between the teacher and Zambo, and by using contract law, offer acceptance, considerations, and and other legal knowledge they learn, okay? So how about the finding? Okay, that's finding. We apply the course, the Zambo in 3 courses, but we use 1 course example. After using Zambo, and the students are far more engaged into class activity, they will have the active response to the question raised by Zambo. Okay, not teacher. They are more active to the Zambo because Zambo looks like human, are very cute and easy to appeal to students. And they are happy and immersed into the case study and the role playing. Okay, and more importantly, okay, the students' ability of critical thinking and analytical skills. These 2, critical thinking and analytical skills, belong to the graduate attributes of our university. Also the key elements in the liberal arts education. So students' abilities in these 2 attributes have been markedly improved because they have learned solid knowledge in solid legal knowledge. So what's the evidence? We need the evidence because in the course, by using course legal aspects of business, the number of students award A grade rose from previous semester without using Zambo. For the semester we use Zambo, rose from 24 obtaining A grade to 30%, a marked growth. So we can see students really, their learning experience has been amplified and enhanced, so as reflect to their learning outcomes. Okay. And so what are recommendations? Okay, so perhaps most important things to our liberal arts education. The first of all, we think actually, unlike the learning management system, other device, we find that the adoption of social robot can further enhance close faculty-student relations. This is a very important feature in the liberal arts education because Zambo likes human. Students are happy and to get in touch and interact with Zambo. But Zambo also plays the role of the educator and the learning medium. So actually the relationship between teacher and student relationship has been improved and enhanced. And also we can see the learning outcome. Learning experience of students has been truly amplified. They truly better achieve their graduate attributes. Example is the analytical competence and independent critical thinking. And Professor Han and I are planning to widen the Zambo, to apply the Zambo through collaboration with other faculty members, mainly in the business faculty. And also the last one, we think is quite important why Professor Han initiated this project, because she thinks teaching professional course should keep abreast of the latest development of that profession. For what purpose? Because this can enhance student prospect. For example, the employability. For these professions, they need high-level AI and technology. If a student can capture, can learn more, they of course can apply this skill into their job, so can enhance their employability. Okay. Okay, that's all my presentation, and thank you very much, and thanks Professor Han for this great initiative. So, is there any question? Oh, I see. When I present, Professor Han has answered a lot of questions. Let me see this question, last one. I think that the one latest question is that a robot can exhibit a good learning example by showing, asking questions, and using the accurate language. But how does a robot differentiate an ethical issue? I think the ethical issue and the legal issue may belong to the same attribute. They can be arguable. They can be disputable, because there may be some ethical issue can have one correct answer, but some ethical issue may not have one answer. So that's actually test the critical thinking ability. So I think this depends on our programming, how to make the dialogue as simple, as concise as a need basis, so they can make the argument, debate using robot more effective. So and I think the Professor Han could also supplement for this question. Okay, and the time is up. As for any question, we can to see the final near completion to see we have any time.